Do you know how to write the if-else-if-else conditions in Python? Do you know how to write for loop with break and continue statement in Python? Do you know how to construct a while loop in Python? Stay tuned till the end of the video to know all the answers, including examples.
Hey guys, welcome back. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the below points. First, we will talk about the if-else-if-else structure in Python with an example. Next, we will talk about the basic for loop using an example and make you familiarize with the basic for operation in Python, how it is different from any other language like Perl or C. Next, we will talk about for loop with range function, or we can say range operator, and how this is very much similar to the for loop in C language. Next, we will talk about the for loop with a break statement, which is very similar to the C language. And next, we will talk about for loop with continue statement. And in each of the case, we will have an example to make you understand how the loop works. Next, we will show you the construction of the while loop using an example. So that's the menu for today. And before beginning, I would like to say one thing here. Throughout our episode, we will be using examples to make you understand each of the bullets that we have here. And Python has a very basic stark difference from any other programming language, that it maintains a indentation. That means you are writing a for here and the next line will start from here. So here there will be either you can use any of the white spaces like space, tab or double space, anything, whatever you are using, you should follow the entire convention throughout the code. And you will see these things in the code organization here, the code organization here in entire episode. Now, as we proceed, you will understand that if starts here, its inside statement goes here, next else goes again here, and else's statement, whatever inside the else, go here. So generally here I use a tab operator, which is very easy to use, and the spacings are maintained. Say if I want to hit a tab 2 times, it will shift 2 tab spaces. And say if we have anything nested like this, so this is a nested, maybe it's a nested if. So first tab goes here and the second tab will make the space further. So this is a 1 tab distance and this is 2 tab distance. So in the code I have used tab. You can use space or double space or any other white space, but whatever you use, you must keep that convention throughout your code. So this is one thing, otherwise Python will throw out the error. This is what I have to say even before I begin the first slide, because our every slide here has an example. Without any further delay, let's begin. If-Elif-Else. So here one thing you must note is that it is not else if, it is elif. In many of the languages it could be else if, but in Python it is elif, that is E-L-I-F, elif. So if-elif-else. So this is the name of the if condition or if-else condition. So here goes our code. We will have the similar example that we had earlier, maybe in any other series here, maybe in Perl or maybe in Tickle, whatever. The same structure, same example is replicated here so that you can do the cross comparison with other programming language. So we have kept the same inner material for the programming if-elif-else, which is very similar to the Perl, Tickle, whatever series we have. Here we have also used the same kind of example and you can cross compare with those languages. So what is the difference between them? If you put the code side by side for if-elif-else with the Tickle and the Perl we have in our channel, so there you will be able to compare. So let's start. First line goes of the script is #bang user bin Python 3. We are learning Python 3 here and hence we will give the path and how you can get this path. So if you in the Linux terminal, right, if you type the which then Python 3 here, you will get this path as a result. This path you will be getting in the Linux terminal. Here if we type which and then Python 3, so this is how you get your Python 3. In case you do not have the Python 3, please let me know in comment. I will make an episode for Python 3. And if you are in office and here you have to use Python 3, for that case you have to ask your Unix administrator to install the Python 3, because in office environment you are not allowed to install anything inside your system. That is the word of caution for you. And we start our example. First line, we define a variable salary equal to 25,000. Next, we have if, then we have braces, pair of braces, or we can say first bracket, and within that we have the true condition, followed by the colon separator. So here you can see this ends the if statement, the colon. We do not have the opening and closing brackets, that is the second bracket here in if in Python. We do not have that. Instead, we have a colon, and here we put the true condition, salary less than 20,000. What we will say, print and salary is low. So we put it in the quotes or double quotes and we keep it here. So we do not even have a semicolon here. We do not have. That's why the Python is a very much flexible language, so that it's very easy to code. Only thing you can see here, I have kept a tab here. I have given a tab, right? I have given a tab here so that it shifts, so that whatever written here after the tab comes under if. So if I have multiple statements, tab has to be there and all the codes has to go in the same indentation. So inside if we give one tab, and under that indentation whatever code is written comes under the if. Next, we have elif. So you can see it has the same indentation as if. Here we can see, and there we write the first true condition. This is a else if, and we write with the keyword elif, that is ELIF. Please remember this thing, because this could be good in for your interview question, and as well as when you are coding you might get an error if you write else if rather than this is elif. So here we have the first condition, salary greater than equal to 20,000, and see, we don't use a and % operator here. We do not use it. We simply write and, and as an ending. We can write or not, all these words as the conditional operators inside if, elif, else block. And then we have the again the true condition, that is the salary less than 30,000. And we finish our code with the colon. And then with a single tab we write our next statement, that is print salary is medium. So salary falls within 20,000 to 30,000, that will mark as a medium salary. If it is less than 20,000, it will counted as low salary. So you can see here we have a tab, and with this indentation whatever code was there it comes under if, and we have again another tab, whatever code comes under this indentation will be inside the elif. Next we have another elif, and you can see that it has the same indentation here as the if elif, right? And then we have the again true condition, if salary greater than equal to 30,000 followed by a colon, and you can see here we do not have a semicolon or something to end the statement. This is very important in Python. This is very striking difference with the Perl, and I think in case you have done the Perl series you will be able to identify it. Next, again with the tab, we write a tab here, and then we write our statement here, print salary is high. So the salary, if it is greater than 30,000, we count that as high salary. And then we have the else condition. This else is for anything that doesn't fall under if, this elif. If all these conditions are not satisfied, our control goes to this else. And here you can see again we have a colon. And here we write the value, it is not a salary. So anything goes beyond this, and we do not have any proper example for this, but we write a condition. If doesn't fall within these three conditions, it is not a salary. So when we execute, what happens? This output comes in the terminal. Why? Because 25,000 is greater than equal to 20,000 and less than 30,000. So this particular value goes into this particular code block, and this particular elif statement absorbs the value and all the condition is satisfied as true, and as a result this is printed here. Now you write the code in a simple notepad and save as something maybe if-else.py, and you make it executable with chmod +x. So you have to execute it. Before execution you have to make it executable. So I have already done an entire lesson in the Linux series about the chmod, but here you have to use the simple thing, that is +x, and then we use a dot, and then we write slash, and then we keep the file, whatever file name, Okay, whatever the file name .py, this Python file we execute in our terminal. So you can write it in whatever name you like, the abc.py or something like that, and then you make it executable using the chmod plus x, and in the terminal, Linux terminal, if you execute it with the /file.py, this particular output comes. In case you are having trouble of running this code or you want an example, please let me know, we will make an episode. So we are done with this particular slide. Let's move on to the next slide. For loop. In this particular example, we will make you understand the basic for loop, how it works, and how the for loop is written organically in Python, and how it is different from either Perl or C, whatever language you have learned, or Tickle maybe. So let us start with the example and make you understand. So here goes our first line of the code, hashbang user bin python 3. This is, you know already, that we get using the which command in the terminal, as I have mentioned in the earlier slide. Next we have the list. So list is like an array. In upcoming episodes we will have detailed episode on the data types, okay, and the data structures in Python. So there we will talk about the different forms and shapes of the list, but for now you can think it is like an array with multiple candidates. Here the list starts with pizza, then macaroni, then noodles. Okay, so it's a kind of list where food names are there. Next we have a variable. This is a counter variable, that is a counter of the for loop. For w, in, we write in, and then we give the name of the list. So this is the basic format of the for, and then we terminate the line with the colon. So after anything comes with the indentation will be counted under this particular for loop. So here you can see the basic difference from initialization counter, and then we have a colon, and then we have a condition here, then we have a incremental counter, which was earlier in C or maybe in some other language, maybe in Perl. So that is different. Here we do not have it. Here it acts like, I think, for each of Perl, which is very similar in case you have done the for each. So here in Python the for works in that fashion, and w in list. So whatever we have a list here, so in case we want to have a counter like, or three counter statements like C, we have to recreate this, and this we'll do in the next example. So wait for that. Here the next line we print w, and then we keep a comma, and then length of the w. So that means we print the length, that means how many characters are there. This is a inbuilt function of Python, and we operate it on w. So each element of food is called by this particular counter, and whenever that counter is reached, we print it as w and the length of the w. So this is printed. Now when we save the code, we do the chmod plus x and then execute with a / in the Linux terminal. We have this one, this output. So first comes pizza. You can see pizza is the first element, and if you count 1 2 3 4 5, so 5 is the length of the thing here. And then we have macaroni, the length is 8, and then we have noodles where the length is 7. So we operate on the list using the for, and this is very similar to the for each operation in Perl. Now your question is that how we write a for loop, that is we are much familiar when we learn C. Yes, we do have a method, and in the next slide we will do that. So here we are done. Let's move on to the next slide. For loop with the range operator. Remember, the range is an inbuilt function or an operator in Python. So we will use that to make or convert our by default for loop into a C-like operation. So here goes our code. First line is hashbang user bin python 3, that you already know how to get it. Next we have for I in range 0 to 6. So we have a C-like counter. I is initialized with 0, and I will move up to 6, and the range will increment as an integer, right? So 0, then 1, then 2, then it will proceed like that. It will create a list of say 0 1 2 3 4 5, and so this list will be created by this particular range operator, and this is very short and sweet, so you don't have to write it explicitly. Range will create this. So whatever, you can start with say 2 and then go to 6, then 2 to 6. So this list will be created. If you write 2 here and then this 2 to 6, this list will be created. This is a very easy way of creating the list of 0 to 6 with the integer increment of 1. So this is how we convert our defined for loop in Python into a C-like or very close to C-like structure. It's not exactly C-like structure, but close to the C-like structure. Now here we have a tab that is an indentation, and we write print. In this indentation, whatever is written goes under this particular for loop. So what we write here, we write I equal to, and then we put the value of the I. So whatever incremented, and when we save this file as something say abc.py or maybe for loop with range.py, and then we do the chmod plus x and we execute it in the terminal, this value comes. So I equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there was a mistake by me where I said that 0 to 6 will be there, but here it will create 6 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, so 0 to 5 will be created, not up to 6. This is the range operator, guys. Sorry for my mistake, and you should also get corrected here. So this will be coming as the output. So this is how we convert the predefined for loop in Python in a much closer operation to the C structure. So you can see it gives 6 elements, 0, 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5. This particular list is created by this range operator, and you can play with this range operator and let me know how you do that and what you are getting, or in case you are having some troubles, please let me know in the comment. Here we are done. Let's move on to the next slide. For loop with break. Now the break statement, you might be aware from the C language, it is very same. That means it breaks out the loop, breaks out any loop. It could be for loop, it could be while loop. If we use a break statement, it breaks the loop and goes out. So here we will use an example, and since I have explained so much for the lines and indentation and all, I will make it short and sweet because this is a lengthier example. So here we have the for loop with break. The first line we have our Python binary path hashbang. Then we write the description of our program, that is prime number identifier. It will automatically do. It doesn't scan from your input. It just do whatever written inside the script. So here we write for n in range of 2 to 10. What we do again a nested for loop, and you can see we have an indentation here and here for x in range 2 to n. So it starts with 2, it goes up to n, and then we again give another tab here. So this if is under this for, and this condition is true, that is the modulo division is 0. Then we print again with another tab. Here we write the next line, n equals to x star in n by x. Okay, so we'll come later in the operators episode about all these operators. Next we write break. So break, you can see under the same indentation, that means it is within the if block, and here we write break. So if we reach this condition, we print this and we break, so we go again back to the original. Otherwise it will continue inside the nested for. Once this goes up to this, right, it breaks the nested for and goes to the mother for, okay, or the parent for, whatever. Next we have the else, which is in the same indentation, and that means it's within this particular for loop. And here we write just a comment, loop fell through without finding a fact. It's a comment and we don't print anything here. We print here, print n is a prime number. So if it doesn't go this if block and instead the control goes to else, in this case this is false, and in that case it will be a prime number. So first line we had an inline comment, and in previous episode I have told you how to write an inline comment or a single line comment with the particular hash. But hash here is a different meaning and hash here is a different meaning. So hash here it's calling the Python 3 to execute the rest of the code, and here hash means it's a comment. So hash and hashbang, this is hash and this is hashbang. The two has two different meaning and you must be very aware of writing them. So here once we execute this in our terminal, obviously before that we have to save the file with some name.py and make it executable with the chmod plus x, and then we write it what it will we will get. So here you can see it produces, the range produces the number from 2 to 9. Okay, it doesn't go to 10 from, and 3 it writes that 3 is a prime, 4 is equal to 2 into 2, 5 is a prime number and it reaches there multiple times, and 6 is equal to 2 into 3, 7 is a prime number. All these things are happening. So this is a typical example how you can use the break. However, this is not the only way you can use with any condition. Say the purpose of the example is that you can use the break with a condition. And even if we put such condition in the parent loop, if you need, you do it. It's not necessary that you write again a child for or a nested for, and inside that you have to use break. No, you can use it right away in the parent or the initial for loop. So that is the thing. So here we are done with the example. Let's move on to the next slide. For loop with continue. Now you know that whenever we reach the some condition and we want to still continue our loop and go to the initial counter of the loop, we use the continue. It is very similar to the C. Now let's start our example here. First line goes as the Python binary. Next we have the comment of the description, the odd even number identifier. Next we have for number in range 2 to 10. So we have num as a variable and range operator to create a list from 2 to 9. And here we write if num modulo division 2 equal to 0, then found an even number and we print the number. And we write continue. That means we go back to the counter here and we continue. And if this particular if block is false, then it is not executed. At that time, the control goes to the next line, that is to the print command found an odd number. That means whenever we find an even number, our control goes back to here in the counter and number is moved one step forward in the list and picked up with the next list element. So continue takes that control. And if this entire code block is false, that means it's not an even number. In that case, this print command, which is you can see under the indentation of the for, so it's under this particular for, and here this print statement will execute found an odd number. Here is another example. So here is the example of continue, and when we execute here in the terminal, obviously after saving the file in some name.py and make it executable, and then we execute it, we get the output as found as even number 2, odd number 3, even number 4, odd number 5, even 6, odd 7, even 8, and odd 9. This is an example of using the continue statement inside the for loop. However, the same way, if you put a condition if and you use the continue inside that particular indentation, that means inside the if block, you can still it use in the while loop. That is up to you. So here we are done with the for loop with continue, and let's move on to the next slide. While loop. Let's start our example. So that we jump onto the definition how the while loop is written in Python. Here the first line of our code is Python binary, that is #bang user bin Python 3, and then we write one variable as a equal to 0, and then we write a numbers, that is a blank list. In later episodes we will cover all the data types and data structures, so don't worry about that. Just for now, see this, it's a blank, it's two triangular brackets kept face to face here. It's only that. Okay, it's nothing other than that. Then we write while a less than 6, and you can see we terminate or the while statement, not the loop. Loop will continue later on. The statement with a colon here and not a pair of braces. And we give the first tab and write the print statement here. Print at the top, a is %d %a. We have a C like printing here, %d, and we have a %a. Next, we write an command that is numbers.append then a. We will come to all of these list operations in the list episode, which is upcoming. We have not covered it yet. We will cover it. Then we write a equal to a plus 1. So we increment a by 1. And then we print numbers incremented to this. So we print numbers. That means this list is printed. So before going any further, you can see numbers.append. So you can see this is a kind of object oriented operation. I will explain it later because numbers is the object and we have a object related function here which we are using, and this function is inbuilt in the class, right? So we have it and we are using it. The class of the list. This is the beauty of Python as a object oriented language by birth. Next we have the print command, right? At bottom is %d %a. Next we write the numbers, and then here you can see up to this indentation, right? Here because of the typing and the character spacing, this has come to the next line, otherwise it is here only. This is here only. So please don't get confused. So up to this indentation, that means with a single tab here and all the lines, and here single tab under the while loop. And as we write again from this same indentation, we are out of the while loop. And here we write for num in numbers, we iterate over the numbers. we print them using print number. So basically here we start with a blank list and we fill it up, and we have a blank variable, and then we increment it, and then we fill up the list, and then we print the list here. As we save the file in some name.py and then make it chmod +x, that is executable, and execute it in the terminal, we get all these outputs. Finally, we get the numbers here. You can see the numbers is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here you can see we have filled up this list using the for loop. So we have given an example how a for loop can be used, given an example how a while loop can be used in Python. And again, I am saying that continue and break you can use still inside the while based on your need. The continue and break is not only associated with for, it can be used in while. So here we are done with our example. Let's move on to the next slide. Thank you very much for watching up to this point, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In case you have some dislikes, put that as in words in the comment sections down below, and bye for today.